Bonjour tout le monde! So I've been asked on several occasions to do a video on French slang, and I've always been quite reluctant to do it because I don't just want to go through a list of words that you may or may not hear in real life. I always tell people instead that the best way to learn slang is to experience the language, to speak with French people, to watch French videos. But I understand that that can be quite daunting, so I'm going to help you with that. If you like my Facebook page, you'll know that I'm quite a fan of the French YouTube community, so at the risk of being told off by YouTube, I've taken some clips from a selection of their videos and we're going to watch them and listen to the slang that they use. This way you'll get a taste of le français courant, and hopefully it will be a little bit more interesting than learning from a list. I'm just hoping that YouTube doesn't take this video down. I've done my best to credit all of the videos that I'm using, and this video isn't monetized, so hopefully that will convince Google to have mercy on me. But anyway, let's begin with some clips from Cyprien, who is one of my personal favorites. I think his videos are often the easiest to understand, so if you're going to delve into the realm of French YouTube, his videos are probably the most accessible. So let's have a listen to the first clip.
Ah, vous allez bien? Moi bof, on m'a volé mon ordinateur.
So this is quite a short clip and shouldn't have been too difficult to understand. He starts with "Vous allez bien," which is "How are you? Are you doing well?" And then he says "Moi bof," and this is the part that I really want to focus on. The word "buff," which is really difficult to translate. The best translation I can come up with is "meh," which isn't really a word, but it's that same meaning. I'm not feeling that great, but I can't really find a word to describe how I'm feeling. It's like when someone comes up to you and says, "How are you?" and you say, "Yeah, fine, whatever." And that's the meaning he's trying to convey here. Someone has stolen his computer, on m'a volé mon ordinateur, and he's kind of got that meh kind of feeling. So whatever the meaning of the word meh is the same as the meaning of the word buff. Okay, let's move on to clip number 2.
Bon, en gros, je rentrais du boulot et je suis allé dans une brasserie avec des potes. J'ai pas eu le temps de rentrer chez moi pour déposer mon ordinateur, donc j'avais mon ordinateur dans mon sac, à mes pieds. Un couple s'est installé derrière moi, ils ont déplacé mon sac derrière mon siège, ils ont pris mon ordinateur et ils sont partis avant d'avoir consommé.
Okay, so that clip was a little bit longer, but there's actually only one word I want to focus on. I put the whole thing in there just because I thought hearing the whole story might provide a little bit of context. The word I want us to look at, though, is des potes. He says, "Je suis allé dans une brasserie avec des potes." Des potes is simply some friends. Un pote is a friend or a mate, a pal, any kind of slang term for friend. Okay, now let's move on to the final clip from this particular video.
Alors le premier truc que j'ai fait, c'est aller dans le commissariat le plus proche.
So you probably already know that the word for thing is chose, but more commonly in colloquial French people will say un truc, as Cyprien does here. Le premier truc que j'ai fait, c'est aller dans le commissariat le plus proche. The first thing that I did was go to the closest police station. Un truc is a thing. Now we move on to another one of Cyprien's videos. This one is all about Twitter.
Justin Bieber, je te kiffe trop, répond STP. Je pense que ça doit lui faire plaisir un message comme ça. Ça doit le toucher au fond de son cœur, puisqu'il est sensible. Il s'en bat les couilles!
Okay, so there are a couple of things in here that I want to take a look at, starting with the verb kiffer, which is actually an Arabic loanword that means to love. It's a really, really colloquial form of the verb aimer. So Cyprien says, "Justin Bieber, je te kiffe trop," which means, Justin Bieber, I love you too much. Then later on in that same tweet, he says, "Réponds, STP." Now this isn't colloquial language, this is more text language. STP stands for "S'il te plaît," which of course means please. And then at the end, Cyprien butts in with "Il s'en bat les couilles," which is actually quite vulgar. Les couilles refers to a certain part of the male genitalia, and "s'en battre les couilles" means to not care, but it's a little bit stronger than that. You could also say "il s'en fout" or "il s'en fiche." This next clip is another tweet with some interesting slang terms in it, so let's have a look.
Soirée de ouf au social club avec tous mes amis.
So here, Cyprien is sending out a tweet telling everyone about the fake soirée de ouf at the social club. De ouf means crazy, or in this context, wild. Ouf is actually the verlan form for fou, which also means crazy. Just note that you say de ouf after a noun, but as we'll see later, you don't always need the de. In this next clip, Cyprien is mocking some of the tweets that people post.
Sympa ton t-shirt. Il a dit que mon t-shirt était sympa! Il a dit que mon t-shirt était sympa! Non mais t'es con?
So here Cyprien is suggesting that people who retweet tweets that are written about them are essentially shouting out to the rest of the world what somebody just said to them. And of course, if somebody did that to you in real life, you would probably question their sanity, which is what Cyprien does here at the end of the clip when he says, "Mais t'es con?" T'es con is short for tu es con, and con, funnily enough, has the same roots as a certain English word that also begins with a C, but isn't quite as vulgar as that. That's not to say that you should say it to your boss. The con essentially means idiot or something along those lines. This final clip from Cyprien is very short, but very, very useful.
Non, je déconne!
Je déconne means I'm kidding, and we use déconner in much the same way as we use kidding in English. For example, if you say no kidding in English, in French you'd say sans déconner, which is without kidding. We're now going to look at some videos by Natou, whose YouTube name is Natou Ludique. She's got some really good videos, and we're going to start with some clips from her video L'Hôtel.
Le problème, c'est que les travaux ont pris 3 mois de retard. Et du coup, on s'est retrouvés un petit peu à la rue avec mon copain, parce qu'on avait quitté notre ancien logement. Du coup, pour nous dédommager, notre promoteur nous a payé une chambre d'hôtel pour 3 mois.
So this is another fairly long clip, but I only included all of that because she actually says the same thing twice. She says du coup, which doesn't really have much in the way of literal meaning. It basically means from the hit, but it's actually a colloquial way of saying therefore or as a result. You could equally say donc, but you hear du coup all of the time. I actually think she says it about 5 times in this whole video, so it's a very, very current phrase. So now let's move on to the next clip.
Alors, vivre à l'hôtel, c'est une situation un peu chelou qui présente des points positifs et des points négatifs.
So the word I want to focus on here is chelou, which is actually another verlan word, which comes from louche, which means strange or bizarre, and again, it's a really, really common one. Okay, let's carry on.
On a une femme de ménage qui passe une fois par semaine, et ça c'est top. Si par exemple tu veux que tes draps ou tes serviettes soient changés, il faut les déposer sur le sol de la salle de bain pour qu'elle les récupère et qu'elle les lave. Du coup, moi ça m'a donné des idées.
Again, we didn't really need to watch all of that clip, but I just wanted to demonstrate to you her use again of du coup. But what I really want to focus on in this clip is the use of the word top. She says, et ça c'est top. Would you believe top is a loan word from English and just generally means really good. That's great. Okay, now let's have a look at our final clip by Natou.
On a des lits super chiants.
The slang term I want to look at here is super chiant. Now you can use super in front of any adjective just to make it a little bit stronger. So super cool is really, really cool. You can also use hyper in the same way. Then the word chiant is quite interesting really. Chier literally means to defecate. And if something makes you defecate in French, ça me fait chier, it really annoys you. So un lit super chiant is a really annoying bed, and they're annoying in this case because they're so slippy. So yeah, that's an interesting one. The final set of clips are by Norman, whose YouTube name is Norman fait des vidéos, and in some of these clips we're going to see words we've already seen just to help us remember them, but also some extra little bits too. So let's start with a clip from his video Prendre l'avion.
Déjà, quand on va sur le site d'Air France, on peut voir la liste des différents trucs qu'on n'a pas le droit de prendre dans l'avion.
So this clip was just to reinforce the use of truc, meaning thing, instead of chose. So he says, on peut voir la liste des différents trucs qu'on n'a pas le droit de prendre dans l'avion, meaning we can see the list of things that we're not allowed to take on the plane. Let's have a look at another clip from the same video.
Les mecs, faites ce qu'il vous dit, sinon il va nous jeter de l'encre.
So the context of this clip is that Norman has been onto the Air France website and has noticed that one of the things you're not allowed to take on the plane is printer cartridges, which of course seem perfectly innocent. Here he's acting out a hypothetical scene in which a terrorist is using an ink cartridge to hijack a plane, and what the passenger says might be quite hard to understand, but he says, "Les mecs, faites ce qu'il vous dit, sinon il va nous jeter de l'encre." Guys, do what he says, otherwise he'll throw ink at us. So the word I wanted to look at here was les mecs, which means guys. Un mec is a guy, a bloke, a dude, any kind of word of that nature. Now let's take a look at the next clip.
Les mecs qui vomissent dans l'avion, c'est pas parce qu'ils ont le mal de l'air, c'est parce qu'ils sont bourrés. Ils ont bu toutes les bouteilles.
So this is a comment on the strict liquid restrictions that they have on aeroplanes. He says that les mecs, as we know, is guys who are sick on planes aren't sick because they have problems with flying, but because they're bourrés, which is a slang term for really drunk. So what he's saying is that people have been told they can't take their whole bottles of alcohol on the plane with them, so they've had to drink them at the airport, and then they've been sick on the plane afterwards. This next clip is another short but very useful one.
Ce boulot me fait chier!
So again we have the use of the verb chier, which we now know has interesting translations, but in this case Norman says ce boulot me fait chier. Boulot is a fairly colloquial term for a job, and me fait chier literally means makes me poo, but it's a little bit more vulgar than that. Of course that's not the intended meaning. What he really means is this job really annoys me, but again it's not quite that clean. Now let's watch the final clip from this particular video.
Ça s'appelle le duty free. Ce qui est ouf, c'est qu'ils arrivent à te vendre des objets qui n'ont aucun rapport entre eux.
Here I just wanted to point out the use of ouf again, which you see in this case isn't de ouf, and that's because, like I said before, de ouf follows a noun. Here he's just saying ce qui est ouf. What is crazy, what is strange, is that at the duty free they sell you things that have nothing to do with each other. I now have two more clips to show you. These are from Norman's video Avoir un chat. Here's the first.
J'ai acheté une laisse pour les chats, mais je comprends pas pourquoi ça existe ce genre de truc.
So again we have the use of the word truc instead of chose, but here it's used in the phrase ce genre de truc, this type of thing. Now here I want to point out the pronunciation. We don't say ce genre de truc in colloquial French. You just say ce genre de truc. It's very quick and it's worth noting because you hear people say it a lot and sometimes it doesn't sound like the word genre, but that's what they're saying. Ce genre de truc. And finally, a message from Norman's cat. So here we have another instance of s'en battre les couilles. Here the cat is saying je m'en bats les couilles. I don't care, I don't give a fill in the blank here. So that's all I'm going to go through in this video. Of course, there are many more colloquial expressions that I could teach you, but I couldn't possibly go through them all in one video. Learning more is just a case of experiencing the language, speaking with people, maybe watching more of these videos and picking up new words as you go along. But of course, if you're ever looking for a slang term to say and you just can't find exactly what you're looking for, there's only one thing that you need to say.
Putain! Putain! Putain!
Putain!
Putain! Putain! Putain! Putain!
Putain, ta gueule!